Like this, like this, like this fast. We came back. Sorry it took a long time, but we are back. So we're going to continue today, automotive engineering. We're going to use many real world examples. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to continue automotive design. You guys have 2 minutes official test start time, and we will check the markets. But first, let's check out the international markets, see what's going on. I'm teaching you guys how to be a good investor. Every investor is a little bit different. But if I'm going to coach you guys, I have to teach you every day. All right. So you're going to go on your YouTube and you're going to type in Bloomberg. Bloomberg. This is how we teach English and Spanish, Spanish and English. Okay, Bloomberg now is going to give us suggestions, but we're still going to hit search because we want to save it in our memory data banks. So we'll go Bloomberg Television, then we're going to go to the section labeled as videos. So top news, stock market, news and analysis is different. It's like every program has its own section, right? But we're going to go with videos. Okay, when you go with the video option, you know what's the most current. So um, closing in an hour, a little bit about NVIDIA. We have the Bloomberg yield. We should check that out. We should check that out. You know what? Since it's in real time and you guys are doing your exams, let's go for it. Now, remember, before we start today's module, 5 sentences, each paragraph, 5 words each, 5 paragraphs minimum, 5 computer spaces in between, 5 revisions. Show the work. I don't care if you did it in chicken scratch, you wrote it down, you typed it, you printed it, whatever. If you use artificial intelligence, it's okay. Just show the work. Whatever you're learning with your assistant, we want to be able to teach the entire class. Um, I'm gonna give you as much theory as I can, but you guys have to understand that if you're going to become a professional, you have to learn this on your own. So let's start with a live reflection of the actual yield. Let's start there and then let's work throughout everything else. New Galaxy Z Fold. Okay, nice. Very nice. I seen an advertisement with one of the Smith sons. Let's go. There's a sense that we sort of past peak uncertainty. Let me start it from the beginning. I apologize. It's for educational purposes. No copyright infringement intended. Educational purposes only. All rights reserved. Um, Fair use 176. So this is for uh, a market conversation. This is for critique. This is for a parody in a sense. This is for educational purposes. So we're having an open discussion. It's an open um, reflection of some of these data points here that are available to all investors. Now, because we run in Pro Tools, we can control the volume, we can control the sound and the experience for the user interface. This is exactly how I design my video game. This is just the introduction. They're going to go more into detail. The market is pricing in a friendly sort of mix of growth, inflation, and policy. Let's see if we agree or we disagree. Mhm. So these are the clips from the different days.
signal that the Fed is going to be looking at.
There's really no impetus for the Fed to be any more aggressive here.
The bending but not breaking of the economy that we expect is going to lead the Fed to cut rates.
I have an excellent one.
Move index because Treasury volatility has been creeping down.
Oh, wait a minute. Damn.
It's been a very volatile couple of
Yo.
years here, and as of late, you have seen a range-bound Treasury.
Um,
Around 4.4%. The good news is you're not at 4.8, but the bad news is still that you're at 4.4. If we flip up the
Bitcoin
here,
exceeds 118,000, reaches new all-time high.
Of U.S. bankruptcies, according to S&P Global.
That's amazing. Nope. I have to do this properly. Let me see. Let me go back. Give me one quick second. All right, everybody has the link, and we're all set to go. All right, so let's go back to the menu. That's how we started the module. You guys could start writing on that. You could watch the module and do your journalistic breakdown of it or your business analysis. That's part of your finals right there. So you have the Bloomberg brief, you have horizons, you have everything that you need. This is no. We need. I'm going the wrong. Hold on. Give me one quick second. They're still talking about this thing. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. You know what? Somebody said they should replace Tim Cook. Something happened at Apple. Damn. Amazing. Hold up. Give me a second. I gotta program this thing one input at a time. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Opening trade. That's another good one. Daybreak Europe. That's another good one. Insight. But you gotta have the patience. You gotta fucking study. There we go. This is how it's done, baby. I think they might have the commercials. It's for educational purposes only. Wow, that's excellent right there. Let's see. Good news. Check this out. While this commercial is playing, or actually, let's fast forward this. This will be chapter 1. And this is how we're going to start. All right, you guys ready? Let's go. Official test start time. Bitcoin Digital, BTC, sets 1 million Ethereum reserve. Bitcoin Digital Limited announced on Friday that it has established a strategic reserve of $1 million in Ethereum. This initiative marks the company's first step towards increasing its involvement in Ethereum's on chain financial infrastructure. This decision positions the leading blockchain technology company for long term growth in the emerging digital asset era. The key drivers behind BTC Digital's Ethereum Reserve strategy include the cryptocurrency's dominant infrastructure, high volume on chain transactions, high volume on chain transactions, collateral and security dynamics, institutional adoption, and favorable regulatory and technical conditions. As the stablecoin market continues to experience explosive growth, Ethereum has become the foundation for on chain US dollar settlement and value transfer, stated Mr. Siguang Peng, CEO of BTC Digital. By securing an initial reserve of $1 million in Ethereum today, and with plans to expand that position, we are proactively preparing for decentralized finance, stablecoin issuance, and asset tokenization. This strategic move strengthens our technological advance, boosts market confidence, and optimizes capital deployment. Okay, so very quickly, let's use that as an example. So you are the CEO of an extremely important company. You decide to invest some of your Federal Reserves in digital assets. I want you guys to explain the pros and the cons of every opportunity that is possible and available readily for us to do business immediately as soon as possible. This could be in your finals. You could put it in your writing. You can use your hyper scientific. You could use technology, but you have to show the work because we're all trying to learn at the same time. Every person's perspective is important. So technology has changed the dynamics of what power is, what true power is. So what would be your perspective? You guys know I'm an artist, but I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I'm a God fearing man. I'm, all about my people, the people of God, like the people of the church and things like that. You will want every one of my investments to succeed, but everybody doesn't have that perspective. Technology and an education has allowed everyone from all walks of life to select the future that they really want to live. So, whatever your definition of success is, once you have that, go for that, and that's it. There's no need to seek out for more than whatever your dreams already are, have been, and forever will be. At the end of the day, I have to be a God fearing man. I have to be a man of the church, of my family, my descendants, right? It can't all be about my career. That is like, that's just imagine that. Just imagine that. I've been an artist since I was born. I was born into a family of people that were very influential in music and technology and business and life and history and math and science. There's so many things. So now I can look at a business move like this and admire it and be able to understand it and incorporate it into my own businesses, into my own products and services, into my own investments. It's important that you guys see the sneakers being developed, even if I'm showing you guys the prototypes. At least you have an idea of where we are in development and how we're going to continue to improve manufacturing, retail, marketing, everything that's digital, because it is the new avenue of business. Now I'm starting to consult people and I'm starting to help be a life coach for people because I realize now I understand why there's so many blockages in certain industries and trades and industries and products and services. People don't speak, they don't communicate. If they don't communicate, then they can never do business. There has to be a line of communication. That's just common sense from a psychological standpoint. Everything cannot be business. Life needs a balance. So, understanding medicine also gave me a unique advantage in business. Understanding technology, understanding the law, design, what is art, being an artist, being inspired, and then giving back to the world everything that inspires me. What inspires them? I want to know the story of the universe. I want to know the story of the world. What inspires, what motivates people? Why are people drawn to the arts the way that they are? You know, even this example right here, this NFT right here, this is inspiration. This is just like a basic example. You know what I'm trying to say? This is just like something that should inspire the following generation um, to see what the next possibilities are. In business, you're going to have to make decisions like that. Remember, you're the CEO of this huge company and this huge corporation. So now, why is it that for many of my business partners that know, for example, The only way to speak to me is through my neck. That's the only way you can communicate with me. I charge $400,000 an hour to speak to me. You shouldn't have to know that to understand why what I'm doing right now, teaching this class, this master class for free, is important or is valuable, because this is going to help generations of people do business and be able to manage and administrate different things in business and in life, because technology is not coming. Technology is already here. It's just getting better. It's taking good entrepreneurs to make it better. That's the future that I see for technology. So it goes to show you, even when I shared with you guys what is emotional maturity. Even in my books, I may have written some things that were probably harsh because I was so competitive, but you grow out of those stages. As an artist, don't be surprised. Again, on the manager's playbook, Mr. Mauricio Ruiz was speaking to this young lady, this exec, and there's just so much knowledge just being shared because people genuinely care about what the future of tomorrow is going to be. There's so many good people on planet Earth. I do business by connecting with those people. I don't need to do business with nobody else. That's it. It's as simple as that. All the things that we all learn throughout this process, right? We can all share because there's enough for everybody. There's billions of people on the whole universe. In every direction you can imagine, there's billions and billions and billions of people. There's enough for everybody. If you win, I win. If I win, you win. If we win better because we won together. That's how you do business. You have to conduct business in a format where everybody wins. It is possible if you put it into the core of the fundamentals of when you're starting the corporation. Why are you making this product or service? How is this going to impact the world? What kind of energy is that going to put off? Because that's the energy that the universe is going to return to me. If I would have said I'm just an artist, well, then I'm just an artist. But no, I am an entrepreneur. I own a technology company. That's self explanatory. Once I say that, that means I have nothing else to say. I let people know, listen, I'm a God fearing man. You know what I mean? I'm a Jew for Jesus, Jew for Buddha, Jew for Muhammad, Superman, Batman. You understand what I'm trying to say? Whatever makes you happy, I respect. But this is the way that I live my life. This is how I do business. And this is why I can only do business with God's people. I just cannot do business with people that are not of God. And I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge any of that. But it's just to give you an example. What is the pursuit of happiness? What is the pursuit of your dreams? How is this influential? Why do I have to tell you that it's almost $5-6 million to speak to me throughout the course of a day? How valuable is the insight that I can give you in that time frame? How important is that? You have to ask yourself these questions. What is truly important? At the end of the day, it's not that serious. That's like me fucking up Elon Musk in the UFC title bout, you know what I'm saying? Or match, you know what I'm saying? And he could use technology, and I'm just going, Battle Royale. You know what that reminds me? All the promotion tour for my business executives, right? That's being done for the Ferrari F80 program. And shout out to Ferrari. We're Team Ferrari, but we're Team Corvette um, as well. It's different racing programs and divisions. But the promotional tour is amazing. Chris Harris did an amazing job with his breakdown. I haven't seen all of the interviews out there, but we have been doing the study for V6 engines. So we're going to put the Toyota V6 versus the Honda V6. And we'll actually do that right now. Let's do that live. Um, the V6 design is the NSX basically. We also did a module on the MR2, which is the baby version. And really, our study is between the 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder power plants. So let's go with Honda J Series V6 Wiki. All right, boom. Now let's go Toyota, Toyota V6 engine wiki, which is also the name of my educational app. Um, it says GR engine. Let's see if that's the first gen or what generation this is. Open deck piston V6 series production O2. No, we need to go to all of their engines. Let's go. All the generations, honestly, are very good. Let me see. This is 93 to 14. Let's go back. Successor, no, predecessor. Okay, let's keep going back. This is 89, no, 88 to 04. So I guess the prototypes were 88 because, no, prototypes had to be 86, 87 because production is 88. So let me see. This one is turbo. I think that one's turbo. Let me see. Single overhead cam, dual overhead cam. Um, Successor, GR, predecessor, G engine. Okay, let's see. This is 79. Production 67. 67. Yep. 1967. So let's go for the Honda motor. Let's see. Let's go back to the C engine and let's see from, okay, we already did start this study. It's 85 to 05, 90-degree V6. So very racing profile. I don't even need to tell my students where are we going to put the turbos. You know you're going to put the 3 turbos in the actual 90 degrees. That's common sense. All right. Let's go successor Honda J. So this has to be the first. Let's just double check. Honda's first production V6 was the C series. Okay, so we confirmed that. That's on your finals. You guys could do extra credit on that. It was produced in displacements from 2 liters to 3.5. We want to focus on the 2-liter engine because that's going to be the class for the MR2. NSX is 3 liters and above, which is the same as the V6 3.0 liter in the F80, which is a derivative from the 296 motor, and has the transmission and the 4-wheel drive powertrain from the SF90, including the XX, which is my fucking favorite shit right now. That shit is fire, B. Okay, C20A is 143 horsepower, same amount as the MR2, but this is going to have a better torque range. What is this? 123 pounds at 5,500 RPM. Let's pull up the MR2 just so we could double check. Why not? Let's go MR2 Wiki. Let's see who really knows about cars because my engineers really know about cars. We really know business. We really entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? When we build cars, we build classics, yo. Put everything in engineering. Again, all that is on the test, and you guys will be tested on that. All right. So I was even thinking about going back to Gen 1, which I probably should, because it's gonna teach us how to build a smaller version or a smaller model or a bigger one when in comparison to the NSX. So for the engine, we're going to go with the 2.2 liter, which is the 5S FE. You know that European specs, they got the upgraded motor. They got the 3S FE. This is the what is that shit called? I think it's the RS 250. I think it's that one. That's the fucking, that's like the Type R motor, but it's 4 cylinders. This shit is bananas right here. This is, oh, but notice this too. This is still 4 cylinder. So we're just going to use it for comparison. All right. So from 86 to 2000, right? The Toyota 3S FE is a 16 valve, 2.0 liter twin camshaft, single cam gear engine built by Toyota from 1986 to 2000. So it has two cams, but I'm assuming each one has its own cam in the bottom. Let me see. Built by 2000. Okay. European version produces 128 PS, 94 kilowatts of power, 126 brake horsepower at 7,900 RPM and 179 Newton meters of torque, 132 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM without a catalytic converter, with a maximum power of, let me see, 119. Then we're going to keep going up. See how and if and when the power was increased. Let's see if we could get it on the grid. Hold on. Bore and stroke, horsepower rating. Where are we going? Where are we going? Nope. This is compression ratio. This is good for tuning, but I need the actual data points. Hold on. Power Celica ST. Um, 304 Newton meters of torque. 304. Hold up. Oh, okay. There they go. There they go. 192, 222, 242, 241, 256. Caldina. Okay. GT4. That makes sense. It's in the Celica. This is the baby 959 right there. This is the baby version of the 959. Poor man's version. You know, the hood version. This is the Toyota version. Okay. Its cylinders are numbered 1, 2, 3. Let me know. Let's go. If we're gonna compare, we have to go Caldina, but we cannot use 256 as a baseline. We have to go with 86 to 89. Let's go with between 182 and 190. So that's what, four. So 186 brake horsepower. That'll be the measure. And it is a 2 liter design, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just double check. 1151 compression ratio. It has VTEC. So this is the Type R motor, but we're just using the least powerful detuned version just to make it fair, because there's so many variables we cannot control, but we know that some of these engines came like that from the factory. So this is where they get the design basis to build the V6, which what you would do is you would double the power, making it a V8, and then they removed 2 cylinders. That's why we need to study both spectrums of the engineering process. So let's go. Hold up. Toyota. Nope. Honda. Okay. All right. So for Honda, we're going to begin in 1985. So for Toyota, let's find whatever version of the motor is 85 and current. Because remember, Toyota went from single overhead cam to dual overhead cam and then back and forth. Honda's approach started dual overhead cam, but then they realized that they could produce a V6 at a 60-degree bank angle if they just use single overhead cam. It didn't mean that it doesn't have 4 valves per cylinder and VTEC. It just means that it does it on one cam to compress the motor. So the turbos in that design will probably have to go on the outside, versus on the C engine for Honda, I could put the turbos in between. So we'll do a further study into the NSX first generation motor. But first, let's talk about the 85 and beyond V6 engine, or what versions from Toyota. 1G GTE, I believe, is inline. Twin turbocharged twin cam engine of Japanese Orange were three generations of this engine. Both air to air and air to water intercoolers were used, pumping from air to water, the most powerful. Supra Mark III. No, no, no. These are all inline. We need a V6 configuration. So let's go back real quick. Um, Hold on. I have to adjust the settings because I'm grading you guys on everything. So, Boring Stroke, dual overhead cam, VZ engine, 89 and above. So, 85 to 89, it's within 4 years. I think this is probably the best choice. Let's just start and learn a little bit about the Toyota V6 engine, okay? So, oh, and let me just check for a thing that everything is static, right? Okay. All right. So, let's start with the VZ motor. And then we already used the example of the 3S and the 5S FE. So you know what? Yeah, let's pull up the 5S FE because it's going to be the most common engine. And probably the best thing you should use as a baseline. We know European specs are a little bit more powerful, but that's okay. This car didn't really need 180 something horsepower. If it has it, there, substantial changes that need to be made to it so it can handle that kind of power. Um, let's go with 5S FE just as an example. So before we go into the V6 battle, then we should start here because this will give us an idea. Or will we use the MR2 as an example at the end? You know what? Let's start with the V6 engine. They're both Toyota powertrains, so we'll go back to Honda for chapter 2. Toyota VZ engine. The Toyota VZ engine family is a series of V6 gasoline piston engines ranging from 2.0 to 3.4 liters, 1,992 to 3,378 cubic centimeters in displacement, and both single overhead cam and dual overhead cam configurations. It was the first V6 engine made by Toyota, developed in response to Nissan's VG engine series, which was one of the first mass produced Japanese V6 engines. So, what this means, here comes a new challenger. A new challenger. Why? Because we may have to study all of them. So, we need to go Nissan V6 engine wiki. Give it a second. VQ, I know, is newer generation. We have the VG series before that, but we're going to go 85 or a few years before all the way up to 89 or something like that, like 88 or something like that. Okay. Let me see. Predecessor Nissan VE. So VE is first gen. In the breakdown, they say it was the response to the VG. So that enters and qualifies the VG for this V6 showdown. So let's just double check so that we can make it fair for every vehicle, every powertrain on our simulator. Um, okay, prototype series, class only. All other vehicles that are non-prototype class, please leave the simulator immediately. Okay, so in Toyota's explanation, they said VG. So we're going to use the VG engine, right? Yep. VG is first gen fair lady. VQ is the successor, and it is 3 liters from what I'm seeing. Yep, definitely is. So on the second lane, in second place, we're gonna put the Nissan motor. We're moving the Honda C engine to the third class. It'll be in lane 3 on the simulator, and we'll leave the MR2 running prototype class in the fourth lane. Um, Basically to see if we can put each frame to compete with each other frame. Remember that the designs are different. 4-cylinder design, 6-cylinder design, some which are single overhead cam, dual overhead cam. We could put the turbochargers in the center of the construction of the motor if it's 90 degrees. If it's 60 degrees, we could probably run less turbos or place them on the outside. Um, Let me see. Okay, so let's take it now from the top. I think we can do this. So everybody get ready. Give me one quick second, because of course they will run an insane amount of commercials, knowing that we're teaching a class and this is under fair use. Sometimes I tell the people, the moderators, like, what are you guys doing? You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go back to Bloomberg, because if you don't do it, then it'll put you in a different thing, and then you won't be able to study. And then you guys complain you don't have the link, you didn't understand the class. Well, you got to pay attention. Nope. Sometimes even misspelling it will give you a completely different result. All right. So just take your time. Now, same thing, program, and go direct to the channel. Now go to videos. Scroll down to videos. Okay, boom. Now the yield is very good. We should check out the yield. Let's see. Just because we don't have that much information coming from overseas, but it'll at least give us an idea, so we can understand where the market is, where it has been, where it's going. In your investments, you're always betting against the market. Where do you think the market is going to go? That's where you invest. That's it. It's very simple. You know what I mean? Let's take a quick pause from the engine showdown and let us continue here. Let's go with theory.
From New York City for our viewers worldwide.
New York.
Shanali Bassett and Bloomberg Real Yield starts right now.
Now it has to be conversation style. I cannot overtalk my host because we are live as well.
Coming up, tariff tensions ramp up. President Trump targets Canada, Brazil, and others as he threatens to increase the baseline tariff rate. As anxieties in the bond market subside, thanks to solid demand for treasuries this week. And investors look ahead to a big week with U.S. inflation prints and big bank earnings front and center. But we begin with a big issue, moving past peak uncertainty.
There's a sense that we sort of passed peak uncertainty.
Ultimately, it's kind of an environment where you're treading water.
The underlying fundamentals for the economy are pretty good. The economic data is held in quite well.
It's all about the direction of travel of uncertainty.
The direction of inflation is going to dictate kind of what happens with yields.
The bond vigilantes are not the only.
This is what you as an investor have to just, I need the data points. I cannot make financial decisions based on their perspective when I deal with the technology myself. You know what I'm saying?
The third and fourth quarters, you'd expect the bond market to kind of reflect that and yields to go lower, and that's our call.
Fed controls the short end of the curve, and I think some of the administration understands that, but they have to be careful of the long end.
We are expecting slow
So
growth
you got to be patient, go through this whole thing.
by the Fed in September. We're not expecting the first rate cut until the fourth quarter.
I think we're talking mid-2026. The economy is weakening, and that's ultimately the signal that the Fed is going to be looking at.
There's really no impetus for the Fed to be any more aggressive here.
The bending but not breaking of the economy that we expect is going to lead the Fed to cut rates.
I want to take a look here at the MOVE index because Treasury volatility has been creeping down to a 3-year low. It has been a very volatile couple of years here, and as of late, you have seen a range-bound Treasury. You have seen the 10-year around 4.4%. The good news is you're not at 4.8, but the bad news is still that you're at 4.4. If we flip up the board here, you are seeing actually, and this has been a surprising chart for many people here, the pace of U.S. bankruptcies, according to S&P Global, has been rising, and through June is the highest since you've seen since 2010. And of course, with higher interest rates, you are starting
Very good
to see
analysis.
a little bit of that funding pressure. I don't want
She
to draw
did
too
that.
much alarm here because the rates of defaults are still relatively low, but you are still seeing firms being pressured by the cost of interest. When you look at treasuries, earlier this week, my colleague Haslinda and then caught up with the CEO of Warburg Pincus and discussed the direction of yields.
Look, this is the first time in 40 years you're seeing a structural step up in rates. I think, as I said today, for a number of factors, I think you probably lean towards a 10-year that's probably more in a 4 to 6% range than a 2 to 4% range. And by the way, that's an environment on a long-term basis, that's not, crazy.
Knows what he's talking about.
As investors, we can make money in that type of an environment.
And joining us now, Mike Kontopoulos, Deputy CIO at Richard Bernstein Advisors, and Sonal Desai, CIO of Franklin Templeton Fixed Income. Sonal, you look at where we are right now. How much do you feel bothered by that 4.4% 10-year? Are you saying that this is a level that the market has absorbed and it's just fine, or would you like to see it come down much more meaningfully?
I don't expect it to come down. I actually think, Sonali, that it's more likely to go up than to come down. And there's a reason for this. I've been on the record for a fairly long period of time saying that I think that the neutral Fed funds rate is probably around the 4% mark. And if we're not falling into a recession, if you have normal upward sloping yield curves, you would expect treasuries to be actually closer to 475.5, and more than where the markets can absorb it. I think the more interesting thing is kind of the economy, and I think yes, pre-global financial crisis, we went through many, many years of having rates at those levels, and the economy just handled it fine.
So, Michael, how do you feel about this as well? Would you take that trade, the idea that rates on the longer end of the curve are going higher, and if you think they are, then would you actually go much shorter?
Yeah, I think it depends on time horizon. On a similar vein, we've very much been in sort of the secular, bull market in treasuries is dead for a lot of different reasons. We think over the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years, you probably are looking at, higher highs and higher lows on interest rates. And obviously that means the 10-year, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5%. Maybe on the lower end of what we see over the next decade. With that said, obviously there's cyclicality to markets, and if the economy does go through a reasonable growth slowdown, which it appears that is entirely possible over the next 6 to 9 months, I would expect treasury yields to fall. Now, how much? We're not going to 0.5%. We're never going to see that again. We're probably not going to 2%. Maybe during the next recession, it's 3 or 3.5%, which would likely be an overshoot. But I could see the 10-year getting there. But until you have a real catalyst, either a catalyst for economic growth higher or a catalyst towards recession, I think you're going to live in a range of maybe 4.25 and 4.75, and that's kind of where we are today, and it's pretty unexciting, and probably means you're supposed to be somewhat neutral in terms of duration at the moment.
Mike, get excited. It's a Friday. So, the interesting thing about the comment that Mike just made about that secular bull market being over, it's the second time I've heard that today. What are the ramifications of investors feeling like the treasury market is not going to be